Okay, welcome. Welcome to this week's Power Hour, where I am finally joined with Debbie Roberts. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Katrina. Great to be here.
You've been missing. We've missed you in the last
Yes.
few weeks of our Power Hour, but we've had guests on talking about um, applications and advisory apps and different apps to be using in your business. So if you are interested in, looking into what apps that you are needing for your business, go back and watch the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've been talking about the different apps for your business, had different guests. Heather Smith joined us last week, which was awesome. So just as people are jumping in, welcome. Good to see you, Chris. Hi, Eve and Bala. Nice to see your video. Hi, Annette.
Yeah,
Thanks
hi,
for.
Katrina.
Hi, Bala. Good to see you on the call, and
Yeah, hi, Debbie.
and welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome
thank
to the
you, thank you.
community.
Thank you. I'm the new guy on the block.
Yes.
The new guy on the block.
I think we've got a call scheduled for tomorrow, Bala.
That's correct, Debbie. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Looking forward
So
to seeing you again.
Yeah,
yeah, so Bala is our new one of our latest pure bookkeeping licensees signed up in the last couple of days. So nice to have you on the call today as well. So we are streaming live into the Successful Bookkeeper Australia. So for those that are watching us live, we are going to be monitoring over there as well. And you will find a link to the Zoom. If you want to join us in Zoom, there'll be a link there in the events area, and Lou might be getting a link up into the Facebook group as well. And post any questions you have on the Facebook Live, on the Successful Bookkeeper Australia, or if you're with us live, you can also post them in the Zoom chat, and we will be answering questions. And we'll also love for you to jump off mute so that we can have conversations with you as well. And the topic today is, charging what you're worth, identifying the value of your services and what you do, and talking about how to put prices up, and all things around valuing yourself, valuing your worth, knowing what to charge, and just all those conversations. So welcome any questions and anybody that wants to come off mute and have a chat. So let's get started. So Deb, I know you recently did a blog post actually, which will be going out. It's out to the community, the pure bookkeeping community, but also go out to the general public. So do you want to describe your journey around, how did you find what your worth was?
Yes, it was a very gradual process. I think it's kind of an awareness that seeps in. Certainly when you're starting out as well. And my experience, although I'd been bookkeeping for a lot of years, I had just started my own business and I had no idea what to charge. I was asking accountants, what do you think we should charge? I should charge. And they were always saying a low amount in their view. And really, in my blog, I said that accounting software companies and accountants, have a perception of the industry, and which can rub off on us. And it certainly did rub off on me when I was starting my business. And when I started working with Peter Cook as my business coach, it wasn't a an aha moment. It wasn't one thing he said that made me realize it. It was an accumulative awareness of what was actually going on, what I was really doing. And initially, I thought I was just bookkeeping, and I was just a bookkeeper. And so therefore, when accountants and even the general population say you're just a bookkeeper, this is what I think you're worth, this is what I'm going to pay you, I'd say, okay, yeah. But then I realized that I wasn't just bookkeeping, and I was certainly not just a bookkeeper. It came about because Pete helped me see that the work that I was doing, how it was benefiting the clients. So it's a different way of framing a conversation. Yes, we do bookkeeping, Yes, we do data entry, it's BAS, it's reconciliations, it's all of that sort of thing. But what I then saw, and each of you would see this as well, that when clients come back to you and say, oh my goodness, you're so awesome, I don't know where I'd be without you, and you rescue them from the mess that they're in, they can sleep at night. I mean, I've had situations where marriages were on the rocks and coming in, and it was all because of the bookkeeping. And then the things that I took for granted, I went, look, it's just bookkeeping. I was saying it's just bookkeeping. It's not that hard, but we take for granted all the knowledge that we accumulate over the years, everything that we've done that we go, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. That's easy for me. It's not easy for other people who are not bookkeepers. And I began to appreciate that the work that I'm doing, that I was taking for granted, isn't actually easy. Yes, it's not rocket science, but you do need to be a trained professional. You need to know all the ways that you can help solve your clients' problems. And when you solve their problems, that just, that empowers them around their finances. That was the thing that actually generated the thoughts about my mission statement. And many of you may have already, certainly our licensees, have heard my mission statement that I used in my business, which was to empower business owners around their finances by removing confusion, fear, and uncertainty and replacing it with clarity, freedom, and control. And when I really almost meditated on each one of those words, it really started to burn in my belly. And I realized that I am doing much more. And I stood a little bit prouder. I thought, yes, you know what? I'm not just a bookkeeper, and I am not just doing bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is the tool that I'm using to empower business owners around their finances. And that was the end of the conversation about being just a bookkeeper for me.
Yeah, that's some really great learnings along that journey. And for me, I think I was a little different, where when I first started my business, I knew that I guess when I first started taking my business seriously, and I wanted to grow, and I knew that I wanted to build a bigger business and, build that empire that my friends kept, saying you're building an empire. When I took it seriously, when I knew where I wanted to go, I decided my prices were now, I think they were like $60, $65. And that was like 10 years ago. So they were in the higher echelon straight away, because I didn't want a whole lot of mums and dads or smaller businesses. I guess I valued my services, or I only wanted to pick those clients that would value them or pay that price right from the start, right, rather than having, the $40 or $50 an hour. And this is, 10, 15 years ago, thinking that I wanted to build my clientele and put staff on. So it needed to be at that rate straight away. I didn't have the luxury to go, okay, $40 an hour or $50 an hour, and then, put a staff member on and, and build the systems and all that. It was really clear to me to put it at that price, and then, put good staff on to be able to build that value into the business. So I'd be curious to hear from others of how they are feeling around their value, their worth with their clients. Annette, would like to jump off mute, and because you've been in business a long time, we know you're you've had a long journey. Are you interested in coming off mute and sharing your journey around your worth? And firstly, do you feel as if you are getting paid what you were worth? Do you feel as if you're...
I think I am now. Mm-hmm. When I started, I think I was on $15 an hour and thought that was pretty good. But, where I was back on pen and paper then.
Yeah.
no computers.
Okay.
So it's been a long journey, and it took me being owed a lot of money, I think, before I registered that I was doing everything the wrong way as far as pricing went. And I also felt too sorry for all my clients who were always crying poor, and they still are always crying poor. And I think that that's just part of business. If they don't cry poor, people won't give them stuff for free. And so, you know, it kind of becomes the part of their normal talking. And even though they're doing quite well, they're just still whinging about being poor. And so then I felt that I couldn't ask them for money because they were always poor. But then I realized I was actually the poorest, doing the most work, but also the poorest. So I had to make a massive mind shift myself and go, okay, well, if I'm going to stay in business, then I have to start acting like a business person rather than somebody's employee, and be willing to go, the business is not worth, it's not even a business. It's just, you need to shut the doors and walk away. Go and get a job, because if you're not going to run it like a business, then you need to stop playing. So that's what I did, and it made a huge difference. And we've now got, you know, a team of 5, and it really did. That was that point where I was like, I'm sitting at home at Christmas and everyone's on holidays on my money because I didn't collect. And didn't insist that I got paid first. So now I do. I get direct debited. Everything's direct debited every month. I don't even look at the billing. It means I can go on holidays and still get paid. I'm not trying to save up enough so that I can go away. All my bills are now getting paid on time because everything's coming in at the same regular rate. And not one client left, not one client complained. In fact, they're probably the opposite, because they weren't trying to jump over a $4,000 bill that I'd let it creep up to. And so it became, you know, it's just whatever it is a month, and that's it. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I get asked often from bookkeepers, you know, is it still worth building a bookkeeping business? Is there money in it? Is there a margin in it? You know, with the AI, with the automations, the computers taking over, you know, how do businesses make money? And you know, it still is there. I mean, you know, there's a different conversation around, you know, bookkeeper compared to the computers and the automations and the AI, but around our worth, that it's, you know, it is possible for us to be charging a good amount of money, a good value, and providing that service to our clients and be able to be paid for it. So, and there's still, you know, the margin there to be getting it on time, and, you know, getting it to be paying your staff, and making a profit, and making, like, you know, Annette, you've got 5 staff and you're, you know, holidaying. And so, you know, your time is not taken up by, you know, managing this business. You know, you've been able to put the systems in place and the processes in place to build the staff and build the systems so that you can run a business that is profitable and successful and scalable.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I think you just have to make the decision that, and while you're just on your own, it's easier to be, I'll do that later and I'll just do this bit now because that's what I need for today. And I've been there with the, you know, I just needed to feed my kids and get them into gym class or whatever it was. And so I just need to earn that much money. I don't need to make a lot. But at some point you have to make a decision as to whether or not that's what you want to do, and then that's fine if that's all you want to do. But if you want to grow it into something else, then you need to knuckle down and go, okay, stop mucking around and start looking at sensible ways to do that.
Yeah. And Deb, that's part of your philosophy of that we are not a mum, we're not their mother, and we're not their bank.
Not their bank. Yes,
I've been both of those.
Yeah, and I had many years of being both of those. You know, I had some clients that would practically promise me their firstborn child if I would just give do this bit of work and things like that, and I go, oh, you poor dear, yes. So, and you know, I've had lots of conversations with licensees when I've had this kind of conversation with them about running, the same as what you were saying, Annette, running your business professionally, and they would use words like, I need to be tougher. I need to be harder. They'd use those kinds of words. And I'm big on the words that you use and how that frames what your behavior and things like that. And I've said to them, saying that you need to be tougher and harder is actually not helpful, because you're not tough, you're not hard, you're not a hard-nosed business person. We are who we are, we know who we are. And for you to say something that is actually opposed to who you are, you won't take those steps. You won't have that conversation with the clients, because you'll be thinking, there's this in the back of your mind going, I've got to be a hard-nosed business person to make this work. No, that's not helpful. And it's not actually true. It's what you said, Annette. It's making the decision to run your business professionally.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I advise whenever I have this conversation with licensees. It's change the way you're speaking to yourself, because the way you're speaking to yourself now isn't going to help you, run your business professionally. You're going to always be held back because you don't actually want to be. So you'll do this passive resistance. You won't put them on direct debit, or you'll behave like their mother or their bank, and you'll allow them to get away with certain things because you don't want to be a hard-nosed business person. So all of those words are really very unhelpful. So what is more helpful is to change the way you're speaking to yourself and say, I'm running my business more professionally. And so when you actually meet with a client or a prospect or your new client, and you're putting up your prices or you're putting them on direct debit, it was the biggest fear of mine, putting them on direct debit. I thought, oh, what are they going to say? And the way I framed the conversation is, I've got all these new systems in place. I'm running my business professionally. Part of that is this set of things that I'm doing, and we're setting you up on direct debit. And whenever I had pushback, which occasionally I did have pushback, I would say, I would make an allowance on a rare occasion, saying, okay, I won't put you on direct debit, but if you don't pay my bill by the due date, then that automatically, you've now defaulted, and direct debit now starts to click in, because they really do take advantage. And I like what you said, Annette, around how they always complain there's not enough money. And Chris, actually, you made a comment in the chat box that they don't have enough money, but you see them going away on overseas trips, not so much now, but, traveling somewhere or buying a swimming pool or a brand new car and a fancy car and all that sort of thing. I saw that so often, and I would be standing there like you, Annette, at home saying, and I ended up saying to them, listen, I've got family, I'm a mum with children, and I need to feed my children. I had all kinds of conversations, but at the simplest way to manage the whole thing is to make the decision to run your business professionally and set them up on direct debit. That's the first step.
And I think too, one of the scary things at the time is they'll all leave. They'll all leave because I'm going to change, and they actually don't. And once you realize that they're not leaving, and in fact, there's people I've wanted to get rid of and thought, okay, now's my chance. I'm going to put the price through the roof. I'm going to, and they'll go. I never lost anybody. They just paid and went, and I've still got some of them now. We're talking 25 to 30 years later, they're still a client. We've gone from paper to Excel spreadsheets to a software, maybe 2 or 3 softwares, depending on, how we've moved. And they're still clients. And I look at them now and think, oh my God, I really wanted you to disappear, and you're still here. So I never lost anybody through putting them on a direct debit. And I think that's important for people to take away that fear, because I was terrified, but I had decided that I was either going to be in business or not be in business. So if they all disappeared, well, okay, it wasn't worth it anyway. I was banging my head on a wall. So by them all going, oh, okay, no problem, I was like, okay, why didn't I do this like 5, 10 years earlier? And then you sort of kick yourself for being slow. But yeah, so definitely don't be scared to have a go, because you are running your business and you need to do it the way you need to do it, in the same way that they're running their business the way they need to run it.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. We would expect our clients to be running a professional unit, a professional business, and we need to do exactly the same. And too often we find that we are the last people to look after ourselves. As you know, maybe it's a personality of a bookkeeper, that we are nurturing and caring and want to help and want to solve and want to provide the service or provide the solution, and get the feeling, the good feeling of that before we do actually want to get rewarded for it. So it's as you said, Chris, it's a mindset change. Did you want to elaborate on your comments? That you've put quite a few comments in there, and I love your background. Yeah, I love you've changed your background, your virtual background. Looking good.
Yes, I did. I played around with Canva yesterday, so that was good.
Yeah.
But no, it is all about the mindset and and you valuing your own self-worth as well. And the more confident you are with your own value, the more confident your clients will be in valuing your service as well. So that's it's a catch-22 situation. You're more confident in what you're doing, they're going to go, yep, no worries, here's your money. And I did that with a client on Sunday. Had a phone call with a client on Sunday. They called me in a panic going, I need my financials for the last 12 months by 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. And I charged accordingly. I charged for the urgency. I charged for the hours that I did. And I got it done by 2:00 in the morning, but that's okay, because I had to basically pull 3 systems into one. And that's what that particular client was doing. And she had no idea. She had personal expenses going left, right, and center. And she valued that. And after she actually got my bill, which I was surprised about, she actually put a post on Facebook in a group that we're both part of, saying, if you don't have a bookkeeper, go for it, because you don't know exactly what you're doing unless you have a bookkeeper. And that post actually turned into 3 other referrals this week. So it can just be the power of your confidence is so important, and the power of your own mindset and working and valuing your own mindset is so important.
And being strong to that belief, having the strength
Absolutely.
to do that. That's I think that's the hardest part, is keeping that strength and keeping that resilience or resolve to stay where you know exactly what you are. You know, the price, the worth, everything about that is just staying strong with that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I still felt sick by sending the invoice going, oh, it's a bit high, but I went, no, this is what I'm worth. Just do it.
Good on you.
And Chris,
and
did she explain why she needed it by 2:00?
It was to do with a solicitor and a settlement agreement that she needed. So
that it's interesting because, and we're in the book club next week, we're actually talking with Ron Baker. Is that right, Katrina?
Yes, Ron Baker's on next Thursday with us.
Next Thursday for our book club, implementing value pricing. And he always says when a client asks you for something, ask them why they need that. So they need the financials and what have you. And the example he gives in the book is when someone comes with the financials, they say, I need this by 2:00 tomorrow. Oh, why do you need that? Because I'm going to the bank for a loan, and I need to have that all set up. I need to buy this piece of equipment. Once I get, and then he said, and what will that do for your turnover, for your profitability? Oh, when I get this piece of equipment, I'm going to be able to add this many hundreds of thousands of dollars annually to blah, 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 whatever the example was. But it's interesting, you already had some insight into why it was urgent, and there's leverage in that in terms of understanding your value. And in the example that he gave, normally what we would say is, if it just meant spitting out some reports, we would say, yes, I can do that for you. But if you ask, why do you need that? Oh, is there something else I can help you with? And then having a conversation, digging deeper into the reason why they need something, gives you insights into how valuable that is to them. And then you charge accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and something that I also have learned is, because I actually get to know my client's business intimately, and I actually understand how they work in their business, like where they're spending money. Like, I've got a client that goes to the petrol station and buys chocolate bars every time he goes to the petrol station. And I say to him, email me the receipts, because it's not just fuel. But yeah, but I know that that's his spending habits and that's what he does. So I actually know where he's spending his money, and that helps with cash flow forecasting. That helps with building his business and helping his business grow, in order to show your value to, and your worth to them as well.
And it's also showing your worth to them in terms of keeping them honest. And if they were audited, then you've kept them out of trouble.
Absolutely.
So you have their back. Like, it might, they might, some clients might complain and really want the chocolate bar to go through because they think they're entitled. But to be honest, you have their back. So you are protecting them from any audit. So your worth is so much more than an hour of bookkeeping for,
Yeah, absolutely.
undervalued.
And when I started bookkeeping, I was only charging $35 an hour. And because I thought that was a high amount, and I thought that's more than I'm getting as an employee. Yep, no worries. But I didn't consider anything else. And now I charge much more than that. But my value is my worth, and what I can actually bring for the business owner, and actually taking that stress away as well, and not having to deal with, okay, I've got to deal with this, otherwise the ATO is going to come down on me like a ton of bricks, and all of that sort of stuff. That our skill set should be worth a lot more to them, because we understand how that works, and we understand the complexities of everything, and that is a value in itself.
And Chris, how long ago was that when you were charging 35?
Probably about 2 years ago, when I really started the business. And I do still have one client on that amount, but that was my very first client.
Right.
But yeah.
And what was it kind of a gradual realization of what your value was? How did your thinking happen with that?
Doing a lot of these sort of sessions, doing a lot of the mindset sessions, and actually hearing from other business owners, and actually understanding what a very good piece of advice that I got told is, no one cares about you personally in business. They just want to get the job done. And something that, yes, we can still be our outgoing selves and out wanting to help everyone, but we also need to be mindful that they don't really care about how successful our business is. They want to make their own business successful. So, and that's what and that kind of helped me increase my prices. And also it did help that I had very nice clients going, you charge too less, we're going to pay you more. And I went, okay, I'm not going to say no to that.
Yeah, exactly. And Robin, you've made some good points there around the marketing. Do you want to have a conversation around that?
Yeah, I think just as far as your pricing goes, if you've got your marketing set up properly so that you're getting either referrals, or you're getting people just calling in, you don't need to accept when somebody says, oh, could you do it for a bit less? No, because if you do it for less, you've got somebody that's going to be calling you tomorrow or next week who's going to pay your actual rate. So And if you do accept that one for less, you're just going to be kicking yourself every time you're doing work for that person, because you know you're saying no to other people who would pay your full rate. So yeah, so I think just keep that in mind when you're taking on new clients, that it's just not worth doing it for less than what what you have decided you're charging. And also, as far as when you're growing your business too, and I did this, as I put on new clients, I put them on at the rate that I should have been charging. And as I either let clients go, or, businesses change, they merge or sell, or, whatever, I eventually got to the stage where I had all of my clients were paying what they should have been paying. Some of them I put the rates up and they said, sure, fine. But definitely when I made that decision, like what Annette was saying, to, be professional, run a profitable business, I decided what my rate was, and that's what it is. And yeah, like I said, that somebody's going to be calling up next week or, tomorrow, that will pay that rate. So why accept anything less?
It made me think of a metaphor that Peter Cook has often used during our seminars of catching trains with the marketing, why the market is so important to be able to create momentum around your marketing. And the way he explained it was in, well, I don't know about other states, but I assume it's the same. But in Victoria, for example, if you want to catch a train on a Sunday, they come every 30 or 40 minutes. And so if you're walking to the station and you see a train at the station, you're absolutely running as fast as you can to catch that train, because you don't want to wait 30 or 40 minutes for the next train. He said the opposite is in Singapore. Those trains run, I don't know if it's 24 hours a day, but it's, let's say it's all day, every 5 minutes. So if you're 50 meters away from the train and you see one at the station, you think, it doesn't matter, I'll just catch the next one, because there's going to be one in 5 minutes. And that's the distinction between, if you're not doing your marketing and you get clients, you get one client there and it's a bit ad hoc and it's referrals here and there, but you don't really know and you're not confident you're going to get one to replace that person quickly, then you're more likely to hang on or chase after that client. But if you've got momentum around your marketing and you're focusing on that, and you're meeting with accountants, you're asking clients for referrals, going to networking meetings, you still don't know when the next one is going to come, but you know it will, and you know it will be much quicker, and you're more likely to find a client much more quickly because you've created momentum around the marketing.
Good point. I would like to hear from anybody that does actually have any questions, and they can come off mute or pop them into the chat. Anybody struggling with their worth at the moment, with charging what they think that they should be charging and not feeling confident to do that, struggling with any clients at the moment that they don't feel as if they can increase the prices, because then we'll flow into a conversation around how to increase prices. But love to hear from anybody. And if you go off mute, I will see your name come up. So Chris, you've actually come off mute.
Yeah, I'll just say, I just put a comment in the post about discounts. And if you offer discounts, make sure you always have an end date to them. And like, for example, I'm offering a COVID-19 date to really help those businesses going through a really tough time, especially in Victoria. I've got a client that going through a really tough time. So we're doing actually free of charge for 3 months at the moment, until she actually builds up her sales again. And we're watching that quite closely. And that's given her a lot of less pressure, and she knows she's getting the right information. And I'm working with her virtual assistant in providing those services. But she knows that's only for a short time, and that after a certain date that will go to a normal package deal. So you can still offer that if you feel that you still want to help those businesses going through a really tough time. And there are so many out there at the moment, and unfortunately some businesses are going to be closing or have closed because of this pandemic. And our nature, I think, Katrina, you said it earlier, that our nature is just wanting to help so many people, and we're that confident in helping people, and that's what we do. So yeah, so if you do offer the discounts, still make sure you have an end date so you can show your clients that you're still valuing your service, but you're willing to help them for a short amount of time.
And I applied that principle as well when I was starting out and trying to get confidence to, this is charging hourly. So I would, when I was meeting with a prospect, Pete was saying, Deb, you need to be charging, I can't even remember what it was because it was those years ago. But let's say it was, I should be charging $65 an hour. But the thought of $65 an hour, I need to be charging that much. And it was kind of scary. So for anyone, I'm pretty sure everyone who's actually here today are very experienced bookkeepers. But if you are watching this or somewhere else and you're watching the recording, if you're starting out and you really get nervous about saying what you might think is a high number, then the way I framed it to help myself get used to actually hearing that number out loud was saying to prospects, I normally charge $65 an hour, but for you, I'm going to charge $55 for the next period of time, whether that be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And but after that it will be going up to the usual rate. And that did a couple of things for me. It started me getting like I was able to see the reaction from the prospect, and in every case they're going, oh, okay, that's fair enough. So there wasn't any gasps of, oh, that's too expensive and all that sort of thing. But it also helped me get used to hearing me say $65 an hour and seeing the response from people. And I thought, oh, okay, they didn't react in a surprised or horrified manner. So I, again, was another way to get the confidence to be able to increase the prices as well.
Yeah.
I'll also add to that. Just think about the other services that our clients go to as well, like lawyers and mechanics and IT specialists. Like I was looking at an IT specialist this morning and noticed on their website they have $30 per 15 minutes. So that's $120 an hour. So just think of those sort of services, and like people don't question a mechanic when they get a bill from a mechanic to fix their car because they want a reliable, safe car. Same thing, they shouldn't be questioning a bookkeeper on their financials because their financials are, to be honest, probably a little bit more important than a reliable car because it's actually their livelihood to actually pay for that reliable car. And just think about those services when you're thinking about your prices and going, am I charging enough? Think about what other services charge, and people don't hesitate to pay those services.
Yeah, exactly. Susan, you're off mute. Did you want to make a comment or get some feedback?
Yeah, I've discussed with you before, Katrina, about a new client that I had, and I took a gamble and did the value pricing based on the information that he gave me, and he accepted the proposal, which I was gobsmacked. And then he gave me even more business. So, I'm still sort of like this. Now, a great example of, because I did read Deb's thing about the valuing yourself this morning, and I thought, yeah, you're right. And then oddly this morning, there was an incident where I found a couple of invoices, and I was just going through his, I'm just recreating his books because they didn't exist before. And there was an invoice there from a financial, a finance guy. I don't really know what he does. And he used somebody else's ABN on his invoice. So I emailed that to the client, hey, and I took the extract from ASIC about the ABN and who it really belonged to and said, there's something wrong here. Can you ask this fellow, very politely, can you please ask this fellow to reissue a valid tax invoice with the correct ABN? And the reason why is because you can't claim the GST. So anyway, he was on the phone to me immediately, and I thought, oh, I hope he's not a dodgy guy. And he said, oh, that's a great pickup. I've paid 50 grand to this guy so far. And he was just over the moon that I picked that up. So that was just one incident this morning. Now, I took a gamble with the value pricing, but I've also weirdly proved to myself that I am worth the money. I am worth the money, you know, because he would never have known. He's already paid this money to this guy, and I picked that up in such a simple way, you know. So
and that comes, good on you. Well done for
I'm pleased.
That's certainly, a good thing to experience. And that doesn't come from an hour of bookkeeping. That comes from all of your experience and knowledge and systems you've got in place to find those things. And you can't pay for that, or you can't charge for that by the hour.
And when I pointed out to the client that you know, I mean, I had picked up something similar to that with another client about 5 years ago, and he was pretty happy about it. But this time it was like, you know, making sure this guy understood that it'll fall back on him if the ATO ever did an audit. So he was never aware of that either. And yet he's been in business for donkey's years, you know, and I thought, how come he didn't know this? No one's ever told him. So, I'm feeling rather pleased with myself and really valued.
Good on you. That's awesome.
That's a great example, and that's the kind of thing. There was someone posted on our Inner Circle, a closed Facebook group for licensees, about a step in the checklist, in one of the checklists, that identified that there was an error in the payroll or something or other. And that's the same thing. I mean, it's the checklists, it's the system that you've got your hands on, that you're using, that picks up these things, that has enormous value to the clients. That, you know, it's a perfect example of that process.
And having your clients back, as we talked about before with Chris, and that you won't get that from bookkeepers that charge the $40 an hour or $10 an hour. You know, so the cheaper versions of bookkeepers out there, the websites, you know, the people that are trying to capture your clients' work, or even, you know, possibly your accountants that are trying to capture the work that don't have the skills that we have, you know, in terms of they put junior staff on to get the work churned out. They don't have the systems, or the people that are actually doing those work in those instances don't have the experience that we do. So that's why we can constantly prove our worth to our clients. Was there any other questions from the audience? And we'll talk a bit more about increasing prices. Bala, did you want to?
Katrina, yes, I'm new, so obviously, it's this, great conversation. For me, it's very insightful. Hearing from all of you, your experiences are really very valuable for me. But at the same time, I'm coming from a corporate background, we're working in finance departments, where companies really value so much, and they pay all the time, a good amount of money. And also, when I look at it from that perspective, bookkeeping is such a essential service, and it's almost you're having a employee in the business, in other words. So that means they shouldn't be holding up your money, right? So they should be paying you for whatever it is, your worth, your value. And I'm it's very insightful to see that how a small business treats bookkeeper. If we don't value ourselves, right? So I think that's what I'm seeing here, right? It's for some reason, bookkeeper is being treated as a data entry operator, in other words, if we don't value ourselves.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's putting, it certainly is the valuing of ourselves. So putting ourselves as a respected, trusted advisor that has our clients back, that is explaining that worth to the client, or you know, showcasing that. So, you know, we do need to be able to show that, and that's in our marketing message and in our business, in our mission statement that we talked about in one of our webinars that we did, Deb, was around the mission statement and the purpose, and implying that to our clients and to our employees that understand, you know, why we're in business, what we are providing our clients, and the worth of that, and certainly understanding our own worth before we can expect our clients to understand our worth. So you're right on the mark, Bala, in getting it in our own mindset. And as Deb did, is you know, just put out the $65, didn't believe it herself until she got some, you know, comments and feedback and confidence to do that. So it is something, you know, I know for myself, or even my mentors, you know, would say, it's time to put your price up. So you do it for your new clients. You might not do it for your old clients, but test the water, and then just keep, you know, putting them up until you're, you know, at your comfort level, or, you know, you're doing your value pricing. Just keep stretching to see, you know, especially if you're in, you know, a very low rate of income, if you are around that $35, it is stretching it out and out and out and out until you get what you know, are worth around $75, $80, and building that into that value package. So making sure that that value price is the right price. And it's not that we're trying to just, like, you know, double our price and just put a stupid price on just for the sake of getting that money. It is wanting to provide the service, but being paid for that service, being paid for that worth that you are providing. So you're right on, Bala, in getting your mindset right to confidently go out there and ask for that.
It has so much to do with mindset, all of this whole conversation. Annette mentioned it earlier as well. And that's one thing that I didn't realize when I made the decision, as we all do, to start our own bookkeeping business. Well, in my case, I was a technician being a bookkeeper, working as an employee for many years, and decided, like most people do, that they want to earn more money, be flexible with the hours, and work as many hours as you want. And the reality of that when you're actually running a business is that then a technician, this is using Michael Gerber's, author of the E-Myth and co-author of the E-Myth Bookkeeper, in his words, the technician is, you know, you're then running your business as a technician. So every decision you're going to make is based on what you know as a bookkeeper. And what we know as bookkeepers is how to do the bookkeeping. And in my experience, and very common with bookkeepers, we were not trained in how to actually run a business and think as a leader. And, you know, I need a mission statement. Why do I need a mission statement? It's all of that. It's the little bits of information that you gather, which is like our mission at Pure Bookkeeping is to transform the bookkeeping industry by helping great bookkeepers grow their businesses. And with transformation, it's actually transformation. You know, it's transforming how you're thinking, how you think about yourself, how you value yourself. And Chris, you mentioned earlier that going along to different groups and coming along to our other sessions. And we talk about this all the time because it's so important. You need to leave the technician's mind and thinking to when you're doing the bookkeeping, when you're working in the business, in production, and everything else that you do is working on your business and thinking as a leader, running your business more professionally. It's everything else that you do other than the bookkeeping is done with a different mindset. And if and Annette, you mentioned this, you have to make that decision that you're going to be doing that, because otherwise you may as well go back and get a job, because then you can just be a technician and you can be doing the bookkeeping and you can do that over there. But if which all of you here have made the decision to run your business professionally and grow a professional business, but that in itself brings challenges. You have to face your fears. You're learning new skills. A mission statement, I need to create that. Where's my vision? I don't know how to do a vision. I don't know how. There's so many other areas. What about marketing? And of course, in the system, you've got all the marketing, but you still need to have the courage to put those systems in place, to actually go out and meet with accountants and go and network. And you've actually got to do that. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you go and get a job. And when you realize there are so many aspects to growing your business, it's another step towards understanding your value.
Yeah, it certainly is a journey. Helen, you had come off mute. Was there something that you wanted to ask or contribute?
Yeah, I did have a train of thought. What was it? Oh, I try and think of pricing in the way what we're worth in that sense. And it always makes me laugh because I'm still in my business. I still need to get more organised. I still need to sort through, follow procedures that are at my disposal to the T and set up my carbon. But to a client, I'm so organised. I action things straight away. I'm professional. My business is professional with my fancy proposals and my firm charging and direct debiting and all that. It makes me not really laugh because at home I'm such a mess, and I don't have an office. I'm kind of like washing school clothes first thing in the morning at 6 o'clock to get them dry because I forgot the night before. But, to a client, I'm completely different. And accountants will say she's expensive, but she's good. She'll get things done. She'll get you organised. And if, you don't do it her way, she'll walk. So it's so in contrast with who you think you are. I think I'm really easygoing. I am a softie. I do like to help clients, but, and I do extra for clients because they're paying that extra in my value pricing. I build that up. So they just think, oh, Helen will do it, and they keep telling me I'm a gem, I'm marvellous, you're the best. And I believe that now. So I sort of feel that I warrant that rate because my clients tell me I'm worth it. So, and there's still times people will question it. And I had someone yesterday, his annual fee went up $160 and he questioned it. And I just went to my list and put a great big line through it. And I don't want him anymore. And if he comes back, I think fine, because he's still a good margin client. But I don't want that. I don't need that because I have these other clients that think I'm a gem.
And it's like you don't actually want to work with people who really don't appreciate your value.
And this is someone who
it doesn't matter if they pay for it. Yeah, if they pay for it or whatever, you just feel like, well, you don't value me, so why do I spend my time with someone who doesn't value me? And whether that's you personally or professionally or whatever, you get to the point where you say, I want to feel good about what I'm doing and who I'm working with. I want to choose who I'm going to do my best work with. I am going to choose, not I want to. I choose every day who I'm going to do my best work with. And something I've often mentioned as well in other seminars is the reality is you can't physically do work for everyone. You can't work for every single client that knocks on your door or rings your phone or whatever. It's just physically impossible to do that. And if you go in with that mindset of when you're interviewing a prospect, that's the way it should be. I'm interviewing you. You're not, I'm actually seeing if you're the right fit for me. I know I can solve whatever problem that you've got, but I want to know first whether I actually want to do that, whether you are the right fit, whether you do actually value me. Because when you get to your stage, Helen and Annette and everyone else probably on the call, you go, I know what my value is. So if you say anything that might make me feel icky about what I'm doing, I'm just bookkeeping, or you make an offhand comment, or you complain about my $160 increase, you know what? No.
I think Debbie, too, as Chris touched on, all the webinars we do with Pure Bookkeeping and Successful Bookkeeper, I think we hear it all every week. We're always getting some sort of, input of how we should be, or how we should be running our business. And we start to become that mindset too, because we're in a group where we're all wanting that same end goal to whatever scale we all want it. Not everyone wants to get big or whichever, but that's become our social group, you could say, online. And I think you sort of, it's in the back of your mind all the time. So you believe all these things too. So I think that's helped confidence. If I think a year ago, if I said no to a client, it was because I just didn't, want to go there or wasn't looking to do anything. But once you've got staff and you're sort of responsible for their, their income too, and everything, and their goals, I think that helps to have those groups. The groups help you become more confident, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if anyone can relate to that, but yeah.
Definitely. It is our professional development and personal development that we are going through, and we live it every day. And that's why it's so important to get ourselves off the books, to have systems in place, to rely on the systems to tell us, what to do and how to do it and when to do it, putting staff on so that we have the time to devote to our own business and to our own personal and professional growth. It is so important, and that's why we're so thankful for so many people joining us on these power hours, because they are wanting to learn and advance their own skills. I mean, how else can we do it, other than getting one-on-one mentoring? These seminars that are out there in many groups that we have, software seminars, it's really important to stay competent and stay up to date and to keep building our worth as well.
And I agree, and Chris touched on this before about how, I don't know whether it was in this conversation or this group or somewhere else, but one of the things that I find myself often talking to licensees about is it's giving them permission to do certain things. And sometimes, and I needed that as well. Like Pete would say, I'll give you an example. When the very first day we signed the agreement, we're going to work together for the next 12 months. He said, right, the way I run my business is I set up direct debit, it's paid in advance. And I just sat there and went, right, okay. And he said, is there something wrong? And I said, I could never say that to clients. And this was me back in the day. And he said, say what? And I said, what you just did then, this is how I do it. I set up direct debits and da, 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 da. I said, I could never say that. You may not realize it, but I can promise you, I had no confidence when I started my business, and I would just do what clients said when they said it and however they said it, and I would just be there doing their bidding. And this is what I love about these groups, that you see, we've got the masterminds that are run every month in our community, all different mastermind groups run across the country, where you get together with your peers and give each other permission. Oh, you're doing that? Oh, really? Oh, is it okay to do that? Can I, put up my prices? Yes, put up your prices. Do this. It's hearing what other people are doing that really does give you confidence that you can do it. It's okay.
Yeah, and it's as you say, I love these conversations to be able to provide that support, and it's okay. That should be our motto. It's okay.
Okay.
Just do it, and it's okay. It's okay just to do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're at the top of the hour, but I did want to ask if anybody does have any questions for Ron Baker next week. Pop them into the Facebook post if you don't have a chance to pop them into the chat now. But yeah, because we're going to be unpacking some more of the implementing value pricing, but being able to ask him some questions. So I have already got some questions designed around the mindset. But yeah, please, if you were sitting next to Ron Baker, if you had an opportunity to be next to him at a dinner table, what would you ask him?
Oh, such a great opportunity.
So let's take advantage of this opportunity and not just have Deb and I ask the questions and Amar's hosting it with us. Yeah, so that's next Thursday. So we changed the book club from this week because the ABN conference was on, and we wanted as much people to join us with Ron Baker as possible. And he couldn't do it on a Wednesday because it's election night. Over there. So we had to do it on the Thursday. So it is 12 o'clock Melbourne time next Thursday, the 5th of November. So join us then. We're going to use the book club link. So the link to the book club rather than the Power Hour link. So we'll put it's in the events and there'll be posts up there. Now, Bala did ask a question. Let me just go back to it. Do we know what is the average percentage of sales a business pays to a bookkeeping service? I don't actually know. And maybe the tax office has business benchmarks.
I wonder if the Australian Bookkeepers Network recent benchmark survey they did might mention that. In my business, if I'm understanding this correctly, like I calculated again for my business that the average client was about 10 hours a month. So, and then you had plus or minus around that. And it's saying ICB might have some information as well. But this is the sort of thing that you can ask in our community as well.
Sorry, Bala.
Yeah, that's my direction, right? Like, what I'm looking at is, like, for example, if you look at when you do a books for, like, a client, that, like, where they're spending, what they're spending. For example, marketing could be like 5%, 6%, and that's like an essential service. And then, like, when it comes to bookkeeper, like 1% of a 100,000 business, it's not much, right? Like, it's only like 1%. And when you go with percentage, actually, like, they can't really question about, like, what we are getting paid.
Yeah, and it would depend on the industry as well. Because retail and hospitality might have more bookkeeping fees than would a consulting firm or something. So it depends on the transaction. So it could depend across the industries. But yeah, it could be interesting to ask a few of the bookkeepers on the call if you want to analyse your clients and the percentage of your bookkeeping fees. Let us know, and we could pop it up into one of the posts.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your questions, Bala. One new question. Let me just see what that is. Oh, great. Thanks, Lou. She's put the registration link for the book club for next week. If you haven't attended a book club already and love to join us with Ron Baker, there's the link there. But other than that, I'm going to finish up. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're having great responses or attendance for these groups. So obviously we're hitting the mark with our Q&A and content, and we will have guests on, and we've got a list of things that we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. So yeah, thanks for attending and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.
See you all.
Bye.